Welcome back to the CANDYcolored studio. I'm artist Katrina Berg, and this is my awesome husband, Carl Berg. Welcome, Carl.
Hi, thanks.
So I kind of roped him into this episode because we just had a wonderful, wonderful night at Springville. Big shout out to Springville. They have been doing these round tables for probably like 8 or 10 years. I don't know. It's been a while. I'll have to find out how many years, but we've gone to many. We've learned so many things, and it's been amazing. I think was this the second one you went to?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was the second one. And Carl was awesome. We were going over some of these ideas on the way down the canyon. And I was like, anytime you want to just jump in, jump in. And he's like, I don't really want to. But then when you're like doing 4 presentations in a row and you're answering questions and getting lots of awesome comments, like each presentation ends up being a little different. So it got to the point where I don't even know what things I've shared with what groups. Anyway, so he was so good because he would just like jump in and like help me out, and it was really great.
Yeah, it's a lot to go over.
Yeah, it's a lot to go over. And I will say that we really only had about maybe 25 minutes the most for each of the groups. And we could probably talk about this for 2 hours. We're not going to make this episode 2 hours long, but it's a lot. Yeah. So just to introduce Carl. So Carl is a landscape architect. He's the owner of Berg Landscape Architects here in Midway. And you've owned that business since what, 2013? 2012?
2011, yeah.
2011.
Yep.
2011. So, and full disclosure, we're both really interested in like business stuff. And so we've always been listening to podcasts, reading books, and we geek out about it. And so you'll find us having business conversations all the time.
Yep. Yeah, we both kind of started our businesses from scratch. And so we've had to learn a lot about marketing and how to run a business. And one of those is websites. So
yeah, Carl's actually been really successful with his website. I feel like in the beginning of your business, a lot of people came to you just like word of mouth. And maybe also because they had worked with you, your brother, your dad, like kind of a family connection. But then once you set up your website and really dove into the marketing tools for websites, like your business, like you had a lot of new people literally just coming from Google.
yeah. Yeah, I realized that if I could get my website ranked high on Google, then I could get a lot more people contacting me. And so, like you said, that's where we kind of geeked out a lot on how to make our website more visible to Google. So
yeah, it's been really awesome. It's been really fun to watch. So at one point, I'll show you Carl's website. I think the main thing that we want to emphasize today is that there's no wrong way to do a website, and you need to go with your heart and go wherever your art journey takes you, do that with your website. But we are going to show you things that are working in the marketing world, but have worked for both of our businesses.
right.
Yeah. And those tools seem to be universal no matter where you are. Yeah. So that's kind of the main thing that I just wanted to let you know. Don't feel guilty if you decide to go another route. Like, we're totally fine with that. We're not going to be offended, but we would love to see artists really succeed, all business owners. And so we'll show you Carl's website. We'll show you my website. We'll show you a couple websites that were shown during the event. We had some really brave participants who showed us their websites, and we all kind of gave some positive feedback and a few suggestions. So I think that's the big thing. But going back to the whole not feeling guilty for doing things differently, I think that when we go to events like the round table, sometimes it's really easy to get overwhelmed when you go to business things, because we are artists and we're business owners, but we want to focus on our work. We want to focus on the artwork that we're creating. And so sometimes the art business side of things is really difficult.
Yeah, I think that is true for most businesses. You get focused on the tasks and you forget about marketing and websites and all that fun stuff.
Totally. But it can be really fun. And it's very enjoyable when you just let it go and learn about the things. So I would say that what's helped me the most is that when I go to an event like this, or I listen to a webinar or a podcast giving suggestions, I make a list of all the things that I think would be good for me in my business. And I would encourage you to do the same. And then what I do is then I circle the 3 things that I think are going to give me the most bang for my buck, the most quick return, what's really going to just up level my business, my website, whatever it is. So I work on those 3 things first, one at a time. And then after I do that, then I will go in and pick 3 more things and work on those. And so that would be the overall goal for today. Go ahead and write down everything that you want to do, but don't expect to do it all this week or even this month. Take your time. It's a long approach. We want these to be a long haul achievement. We want these goals to be achieved over time. And obviously our websites didn't start the way they are now.
Yeah, and they're not ever finished either. We're still updating them and changing them and trying to make them better. So I think that's the hard part sometimes is as an artist, you get a painting and you feel like you're finished, or you decide to be done, and then you move on to the next thing with websites and marketing, SEO. It's a you're never done. You're always going to be doing it.
Yeah, you're always going to be doing it, just like your laundry. Carl said the other night, it's like your laundry. It's never actually
Never
done.
done. Yeah.
And you can pay someone to do your laundry and you can pay someone to do your website, but ultimately we want to commit to having a quality product so that we can sell and get our work out to the people. I know something that you've told me lots of times is when you're done with the painting, that's when it starts, because that's when
hard work.
That's
Yeah.
when the hard work starts.
Yep.
Because that's when you have to start marketing and finding the person that it's meant to go to. And yeah, that's really the beginning of all the hard work. And so I would say websites, once you get that to a point that you feel comfortable, then you're just updating it and it'll help you a lot with that, with the selling. So, okay. So I think the biggest thing too is that we have to ask ourselves, what do we want the website to do for us? I think universally, the 2 things, we want to have the website so people can, number one, find us, whether they're discovering us for the first time because of SEO and search engine optimization, or they already discovered you and they want to know more about you, so they put your name or your company name in the web and then they discover your website. So that's the first thing, is we want people to find us. And then the second thing is we want to convert those sales.
Yeah. And you want it to be really clear when they open up your webpage on the homepage, to be very clear who you are, what you sell, what you're about, what's your process.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Simply, beautifully. A lot of times we talk about artists and landscape designers. They're such visual products that we forget to put words on our website. So having a lot of information about who you are is very important.
Exactly. And I think that was something that you and I discovered early on, and we were surprised because we are visual people and we just expect visual things to sell our work, whether it's a landscape design or whether it's artwork. And we were surprised at how many words you need. And so this is one of the first tips that we would tell you, is that on your website, put more words than you think you possibly need. And I know that that's counterintuitive because, again, we want the artwork to speak for itself, but it's not just to help the people understand about you and your work, but it's also going to help you being found.
Yeah. And I would say the words are very important, but put them in smaller groupings so that, someone doesn't feel like they're reading a book.
Yes. Yeah, it's okay to put like a paragraph here and then some pictures in another paragraph. Like, that's totally fine. We're not saying you have to write an essay about every aspect of you and your business. Something that I like to do is have kind of snippets on the main page so that they get the most important information verbally, and then they can go to pages to find out more. Right. And you can always link to those pages right on the main page. And that's one of the biggest takeaways that we learned that artists are really not doing. And I wouldn't say it's just artists. I think across many businesses, your main page a lot of times is just the name of the company, maybe an image, and then you have to click on the tabs.
Yeah. And most likely, the page that's going to rank highest on your website is your home page. So
Mhm.
having as much information on there as possible is going to help you rank higher.
Exactly. So it's going to help the internet find you, but then it's also going to explain to the people that find you really quickly exactly what you're about, what your process is, your style, who you are, where you live, what interests you, all those things.
Yeah, and one of the things that we talked about is the keywords, right? Those are words that are specific to your business that people are searching for on the internet. That's going to help them find your website. So for me, with landscape architecture, that's a big keyword, or landscape design. I'm kind of local to Utah, so the word Utah or the area that I'm working in are major keywords for me.
Hmm. Yeah, once we discovered that, you were always at the top of all the search engines, which is amazing. I have a good friend, Suzette Gertch, who's here in Midway, and she goes by the Midway Artist. And so I know people find me because I'm an artist in Midway, but I know that Suzette's always the top because I think that was her domain name.
Hmm.
So we should actually talk about domains. How
Yes.
important is it to have to spend the money to get your domain?
Yeah, I think for artists, having your name as the domain is going to be very key, because that's how people know you, by your name, most likely. Um, for me, one of the reasons I chose to have landscape architects as part of my business name is for that reason. When people are searching that, it's automatically going to come up because it's in my name.
Exactly. Yeah. So for those of you that have, like, we met a potter the other night, and her name, her business name, I think it's Salt City,
Hmm.
Salt City. And so obviously she's like, well, do I put my name or do I put the business name? And what was our solution?
Do both.
Do both. So you buy both domains and then you send both of them to your main page. And that way, no matter how people are searching you, like, they'll find you. Another girl in that same group said that she doesn't go by her given name. So she goes by, I can't remember if she goes by a business name or a different
Yeah,
name.
maybe just an artist name.
Yeah, it might even be like a brush name. But either
Yeah.
way, we know there's complicated things out there, so do what works best for you. But if you do have a name that you could get as your domain, it'll be super helpful. I think I have the CANDYcolored Studio and my name. I might have a couple other things like Katrina Berg Fine Art instead of just katrinaberg.com. So I've paid for a few domains out there, and it's totally worth it. You've paid for two or three as well.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have multiple domains, if you want to protect that domain so someone else doesn't buy it, to make it kind of seem like they're similar to your business, or you can have that website link or that domain link back to your main
Mm-hmm.
main website.
Totally. Yeah. So it's worth it. It's worth it. Even if you choose to have like a free website, definitely pay for the domain. I think there were times when that's all I was paying for when I had a WordPress website.
Yeah, it's the
It
domain.
was the
And
domain.
usually it's $20 a
Yeah,
year.
yeah, that's on average. I think there's been years I only paid like 12 or 15.
Yeah.
So it's not that much. It's totally worth it, especially when you think about how much more traffic you're going to get.
Yeah. And it just make you look more professional.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk to them a little bit about social media. So, like, the idea that being searchable is more valuable than being likable.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a great person to talk about social media, because I've chosen not to do it. I've chosen to spend more of my effort on my website and making it searchable.
Mhm.
Um, but one thing that we've always talked about between you and I is that it's the hello. The social media is the hello. You want to try to push them to your website.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
if you think of it that way, then you don't have to stress so much about social media being
Totally.
perfect.
Yeah, it's a step one, and it's just a greeting. Hello, this is who I am. Come learn. If you like my work or you like my designs, come find out more about me. And that's where you really serve them. And if you think about it, being likable is a moment. Maybe someone scrolls past you every once in a while, but algorithms, we can't control algorithms. And so being searchable is something that is not like a 24-hour or a 48-hour thing. Like, there are like blog posts on my page that are always performing really well, and they've been on there the whole time I've had the website. So it doesn't matter how old it is. Being searchable has nothing to do with timing. It's about those keywords.
Yeah. I think that's the great thing is we call that evergreen. It's always there. You
Mhm.
can always find it. Where social media is quick and it's gone. So,
Totally.
and if you direct them to your website, you have more control
Hmm.
over their experience, right? Social media, you're kind of confined to the platform and you never know what's going to happen with the platform. If you go to the website, you can curate that and hopefully get people on your email list.
Yeah, for sure. And that's also, we brought up we said, how many of you have had artist friends whose Instagrams have been hacked? And there's so many of us that have friends
Yeah.
who've been hacked.
Yeah, when you spend a lot of time trying to get followers and then it gets taken away from you, that's devastating.
Yeah, it's totally devastating. And I've seen a lot of people really bounce back and it be beneficial to them, but at the same time, it's super traumatic and stressful. And you never have to worry about that when you have a website. Yeah, the internet, the entire internet might go down, but that's everyone. It's not just you.
Yeah.
And hopefully, when the internet goes back up, they can search for you and find you. And better yet, if you have them on your email list, then as soon as you send out the next email, they're hearing from you.
Yeah. Agreed. So I just had a thought about the keywords. So as an artist, what makes you different? What are some keywords that you use so that people will find Katrina Berg?
Yeah. So for me, I will put the words circle, floral, oval art, birds, whimsy, contemporary. Sometimes I will say Midway or Utah artist just because sometimes people specifically are looking for artwork that's local.
Yeah.
But those are some of the things. But I think, again, art is hard. Art is hard, right?
It is more difficult than a local business because as a
Mhm.
local business, you can put in, Midway, Heber, the county you're in, and a lot of people will find you from searching in that area. But as an artist where you're kind of the whole world, it makes it a little more difficult. But
Yeah.
you've had some good experiences with people finding you locally,
I have. I have. I've had people come just because they literally searched up Midway artist
right?
and they decided to come
We got
visit
that
me.
group of ladies, and
Yeah.
anyway, it's
The
been
bike
good.
and babes, they're so cute. Yeah, so it has been really good for me. And I feel like the biggest thing is to do what you can and then just give it to God. Let God be in control of your business. Like we've found that when we let God be in charge, that our heavenly parents and savior, that they can do way more with our businesses than we could ever dream of.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I think we worry too much about our privacy. A lot of artists, I think, are private people.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this worry about, hey, if I put all this information out into the world, then I'm less private. But
Yeah.
it's kind of a nature of the marketing if you want people to find you.
That's true. It's hard because if you think about some of your favorite artists, most likely you love them because you know who they are and what they represent and why they create what they create. And it's a personal connection. And I think that's the case with most art. It's very personal.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. It is, you'll have to find that perfect balance of what works for you. But I know when we first put our address on Google Maps so that people could find me, I was seeing a report of how many people were looking at it every month, and it kind of overwhelmed me.
Yeah.
But I haven't had anything weird happen.
Yep. Yeah, it can be a big concern.
Yeah. And that was definitely something that got brought up the other night. So I know that, again, follow your path, listen and decide what's best for you and your business. But yeah, a lot of us, we do end up giving out our addresses and personal information for sure. I think, okay, so here's another thing. So we talked about being searchable versus being likable, because searchable is forever and being likable could just be like a moment, right? So I would say the most important things that I found for me personally, there's three things that I would say really make my business run, or what's made it successful. And the three things that I want to focus on: number one, making really good art; number two, having my website updated; fairly often. And then 3, my email list. And so you'll notice I don't even have my social media. It's not a top priority. Those are the top 3 priorities.
Yeah. And it seems like you've been really good at your social media trying to get people to sign up for your email list. Because again, then you can kind of control their experience, determine how often you want to email them. And an email is a little more personal than social media. When people get an email from you, then they feel like you're inviting them as opposed to just, hey, the whole world know about my social media post.
Totally. And it's nice too, because I definitely share different things on my email list. I mean, sometimes you can see some crossover, but a lot of times I will get more personal because I'll remind you about podcast episodes where I'm very personal, right? And I don't necessarily throw those out to the Instagram because, again, if my focus is my website and my email list and I'm done, like we all have a million things going on in our lives and things that we want to be doing. And so a lot of times that's just the bottom of the barrel, and it's been okay.
Yeah. And you want your email list as you grow that, you want them to feel special. So you want to give them better information or more valuable information than your social media.
Exactly. And I used to call it my sweet list because they were my first priority.
Yeah.
They still are my first priority. And so,
Yeah,
yeah.
they typically see your paintings first, right? They have the first dibs to buy them. So,
Yeah, for sure. What else? I feel like, so I would say, again, if you were to focus on your website, your email list, and only one social media platform, I think it'd be way more valuable than if you were to do like 5 or 10 social media platforms.
yeah. At the round table the other night, a lot of people had questions about what email platform you use
Uh-huh.
and how do you get people on your list?
Yeah, let's talk about that for just a second. So I've been doing emails since probably 08, 09. And in the beginning, you'll remember I had that little, we had our own online art gallery. So this was back at a time when daily painters kind of were taking off and these daily paintings were a big deal. And so what I did was I got together with five other artists in the Wasatch Back. Most of us were here in Heber Valley, and then we had awesome Carol Wade over in Park City. And what we did was everyone would share a new painting once a week. And so every day, every week, well, really 6 days a week, you could I would email a new painting and it would leave the meaning and the price, and I would send it in a very boring regular email just coming from my personal email. I don't think I had a fancy,
I don't think so.
I don't think I had a Wasatch Back. It was called, we called it the WBA, the Wasatch Back Artists. And we did that for a couple years, and it was really nice because you would see a beautiful painting show up in your inbox every day. I did have to learn about the BCC because I accidentally didn't do that one time, and a couple people got mad, but that was really how.
BCC means blind copy, so everyone's not seeing all the email lists. Right.
Exactly. We don't want to see everyone's addresses. We
or
just
if someone replies, they can't reply to everyone.
Yes, exactly. So that's really key. And so first of all, I would say you do not need to pay for a platform to do emails. Just start by sending it directly from your email. And like Carl says, use the blind copy. And then when you're ready, I think the next step I did was I did MailChimp.
Yep.
And MailChimp was great. It's very basic. It's super easy to use. But then they get to a point where if you have so many subscribers, you have to pay a considerably more amount.
Yep.
And so it was around that time Flowdesk launched, and they were just like a brand new platform. And they looked really, I mean, the design is beautiful, and it was the same price as MailChimp. And I was like, dude, I'm getting on board.
Yeah. And what's the benefits of Flowdesk?
Well, one thing that I noticed right away is that my open rates were a lot higher. And so an open rate means it's the percentage of how many people that you send the email to actually open it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I noticed right out of the get-go that when I was in MailChimp, I was getting about 35% opening. And that's average for this, for the industry is like 30%. Is average, right? When I went over to Flowdesk, all of a sudden I started getting like 60% open rate, which was really nice. It jumped. And then What else did I like about it? They have a lot of really fancy things. Like, for example, before you're ready to get a website, you can actually sell stuff right in their emails.
Okay.
You do have to pay for it. Like, I can't remember what the program is because I have not invested my time in it because I don't need it. But if you just want to start with that, you could totally do that.
But they have like templates and
Yes.
platforms that help you organize
Yes.
and make your emails pretty, right?
Yeah, they're so pretty. Lots of color. Obviously, I like color. So basically, what I like to do is I just copy the previous email and then just edit it so that it has kind of a similar vibe when you get, you kind of feel like you're taking on a journey, but it's my email because it's usually similar setup and colors.
So if someone doesn't have a email list yet, what would be the first thing that you would recommend they do?
Yeah, so the very first thing I would say would be to take all the contacts that you have, family, friends, and then any collectors that have ever bought from you, put them in an email. Let them know you're starting an email list. You'll be sending out emails maybe once a month, every once in a while, whenever something big happens. And that if they're not interested, all they need to do is unsubscribe. Or if you're using the old school email, your original email, just say reply and I'll take you off the list.
Yeah.
But I'd like
or reply and I'll add you to my list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can do either way. You can say I'm starting an email, reply yes if you want to be on it, or you can just say I've added you to my email. If you're not interested at any time, just let me know and I'll take you off. So that's the real basic way. And then the other thing I would say is that everywhere you go, let people know that you have an email list. If they express interest in your work, ask them if they want to be on your email list.
Yeah. What are some of the places that have best helped you get emails?
For sure, like in-person shows. So like Art and Soup and Swiss Days.
Yeah, Swiss Days has been really good for
Swiss
you.
Days.
And what are some of the strategies that help you get those emails?
So Carl's really good. When we go to shows, we're a team. We have had awesome helpers. Like our kids help us sometimes. We had Pacey help us this year with you, Layla, and that's been amazing. But Carl kind of learned when we started doing Art and Soup, he would just say, hi, are you
familiar with Katrina's work?
Yeah, that's the first thing he says. Are you familiar with Katrina's work? And then that kind of opens the door and you kind of know.
Right. A lot of people will say, oh, yes, I am. I'm actually on her email list. And then you can jump into a conversation with that. If they say no, then you can give them a little more information.
Yeah, that's when you start educating them about my work. And I've been really impressed with the way that you handle that. So anytime during the conversation, you can tell they're interested, but they're not ready to buy then. That's when you ask, would you like to be on my email list?
Or are you on her email list?
Are you on the email list?
And then they're like, no, what is their email list?
Yeah.
And then, kind of excites them. And then the best way is to you personally help them sign up right then.
Exactly. So I always have that page. So I have a page on my website that's specifically where people can sign up. And I just always have that open and I just hand it to them and I have them put in their information. And the reason why that's helpful is because we've done lots of shows where we just left out a clipboard and we let people sign their name, or I would do a giveaway. I like the giveaways because they write and then they stick it in a jar and then it's not out for everyone to see their information. The problem with that is there's always several names that you cannot read the email.
Right.
And so it's such a bummer because then you can't contact them.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I love is having them do it right then. They type it in. I look at it, make sure it looks right. And then have them check it again. And then
it's less work for you after the shows were over, right? Because then you have to put all those in.
Totally. And you can have, I've done the $100 show. That's another place where I've collected a lot of emails. I would just put out my little tablet or laptop, whatever, iPad, and you can just set it there and have people enter their information. And you're right. It saves, there's no follow-up later because it's already in the system. And they actually get an email right then. Right. And that's super helpful.
How many, for those that haven't done an email list, if you went to a show, how many emails could you expect to get per show?
So Swiss Days is amazing. I mean, you can get hundreds of emails at Swiss Days.
Last year you were maybe 100 to 200, right?
Yeah. And that was low because it took a while. Like I had so many people helping me and they would just give It's a long story, but something that I've tried to do is I would put a QR code on the back of my business card, and it would take you to my website where you could sign up for my email. But what we learned is that people weren't following through.
Right.
So all my little helpers were just handing out my business card saying, go to her website and sign up for the email, and they'd walk away and it would never get done. But the next day I ended up with like 2 or 3 times the amount of emails because I would say here and I would hand it to them and they would fill it out.
Right.
Right.
That's the benefit of you requesting them to do it
Yeah.
right then.
And it could be your helpers too.
Yeah.
Anybody
But
can do it.
if you get 100 emails per show,
That's amazing.
yeah, over a couple year period, you do 10 shows, your email list is 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to have people unsubscribe.
Sure.
And so it's going to fluctuate, but 1,000 people on an email list, that's a pretty good email list.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's an amazing email list. I think if you have 100 big fans of your work, think of all you can do with 100. In full disclosure, this year, I think I painted like 51 paintings, and there have been years I've painted over 200, but the last few years have mostly been around 50 because I'm painting a lot of big pieces, and sometimes it'll take a whole month or more to do them. Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like, again, if you have 100 amazing art collectors, and you're only creating 50 to 100 pieces a year.
Yeah. And in marketing, who's the best people to market to? People that already love your work and want to buy more, or people that don't know anything about you?
Absolutely.
So if you're reaching out to past clients, you're going to generate a lot more interest.
Yep. And this last show that we had on opening night, everyone but one was someone that had already bought before. Well, there were 2. Either they knew me and they've always wanted some of my art, or they were repeat. Does that make sense?
Right.
And one thing that Carl and I have noticed is so the power of your website and the email list is this. There have been a lot of people that have met me at a show, right? Whether it's the $100 show, they saw my work at Springville Art Museum, they met me at Swiss Days or Art and Soup, or 135 show, they saw my work at Nanette's Art Market, and they got on my email list. And it's normal. This is crazy. This may not happen with you guys, but this is normal for me. Some of them would be on there for 3 years, 4 years, 6 years, and then they're ready to buy. And when they buy, sometimes they'll buy big pieces or several pieces, or sometimes it takes a little while. And so it's important to have a really like a very educational and a deep website where they can go and learn as much about you, so the next time they see you in person, they're ready to buy because your email and your website.
I'm thinking specifically of a lady that had been on your email list for maybe 6 or 7 years, and then she hadn't bought anything, but then she commissioned you to do a very large, what was it, 6 feet long painting.
Yeah.
So you just never know. Building the email list will have great benefits.
It totally will. Yeah. And I think that the other great thing about the email list is that when I go to shows and when I'm meeting people, I know I'm planting seeds. If you have them on your email list, you're not worried that they didn't buy in that moment. You know that you have the opportunity to serve them and to teach them about the artwork.
And I think one thing that you've been really good at is trying to remember your clients' names. So someone may come that you haven't seen for 2 or 3 years, and they're amazed that you can remember their name. And I think a lot of that is because of the email list, right?
Yeah.
Because you do review it, you review their names. Sometimes you even categorize like, hey, these are my top 30 collectors. I'm gonna really remember them. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna send them a free calendar, so that they'll remember me.
Totally.
And so spending your effort on your top people is very valuable.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like, just so you know, I don't remember everyone. There have been people I'm like, oh, they look familiar, I should know who this is. But I really do try to cultivate relationships with my top collectors, because they're special. And it is fun because it is very meaningful to them.
Yeah, and one benefit of the like Flowdesk or an email platform is you can see how many times people have opened it, what they've
Mhm.
clicked on. And so you can kind of say, hey, these are the people that are really interested. I'm going to
Yes.
send them more information. I'm going to send
Yes.
them a card in the mail to really make it feel personal.
Totally. I completely agree. Something that came up the other night, people wanted to know not just which platforms I was using. Another one that's really popular is Constant Contact.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of another one that's out there? There's tons.
Yeah.
I mean, just do a search because I started Flowdesk maybe 2020. I bet whenever they started, that's when I
Right.
started. Anyways,
But the trick is just getting started.
getting started.
You can always switch to a different platform. You can
Yes.
save all your contacts and push them over to a new platform.
Yeah, which is exactly what we did with MailChimp. That was very easy. But yeah, so I would say something that people wanted to know was what type of platforms are you using? And then how often should you send an email? And I would say, on average, I think the sweet spot is once a month. Okay. Like, so that means you're sending out 12 emails a year. And if you happen to be sending, you've got this new collection or a new show, and so you put it on your Instagram, all you have to do is take that same information, put it in the email list, maybe add extra pictures, maybe a little more information like the address and links and stuff, and make it really special. But you're basically sending the same information, right? So if you're doing that about 12 times a year, and that's on average. So what I said to the group is that typically artists are the busiest during the fall season. And so you may send out 3 emails in a month because you have so much going on, but in the summer, you may only send 1 email the whole summer, right? And that's totally fine. The key is to send information when you have information, but it's also okay when you have no big shows going on to send a random email and say, do you know about my process or my meaning? Like, here's something that I do specifically that you can learn about. Yeah. So,
and how long should those emails be?
Oh yeah. So we don't want them too long. And so what I like to do is, it's great if you have one thing to share, it's worth an email, but I wouldn't go past 3. If you have 3 things. So for example, if I want to share that I've got a piece of artwork at the Springville current show at Springville, that's one thing. If I want to show that the round table's coming up, that's number 2. And then let's say a recent podcast episode, that's number 3. And that's all that's in the newsletter.
And I would say always give them a place to buy something.
Yes.
Right? A button to your website that they can buy something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And you can, something that I've seen people do also is they'll say at the bottom, if you have a friend or family member that would enjoy this email, please forward it to them.
Yeah.
Just realize that if they push unsubscribe,
right, from a forwarded email,
then it unscribes whoever sent it to them. So, just be aware.
Careful, yep.
Be aware. So, but yeah, I think it is nice to invite people to the email. I looked up some numbers for you guys just so that you know. So in 25, I did send out 22 emails.
Okay.
And so
almost double of what you're recommending.
Yeah, I did almost double. And the reason why is that I think I sent out like 6 just about Swiss days.
Yeah.
Right? Because I wanted to slowly show them all the stuff that was going to be there. And I also realized that not everyone opens every email. So when it's a big event like that, that was one of the only big shows I did last year. So I wanted people to get it because we don't open every email. Right.
Yeah. You're building interest and curiosity. And
yeah. So if you think about it, 6 of those were probably for Swiss days. And there were a couple at least for my solo show, maybe even 3.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many I did. And then podcast episodes. This is episode 255. But if you think about it, I've been doing it since 2018, the end of 2018. So some years I did an episode every week. Some years it was every other.
I think for a minute you were even doing twice a week.
Yeah, it was. There was a crazy minute, and that was really fun. But last year I only did 8 episodes. So that was pretty low. And then Instagram posts, I actually did 28, which surprises me because I bet 24. Yeah, but it's way more than like 23 and 24. I should have seen how many I did. But and I did have help because Pacey, my studio assistant, she did a lot of that stuff. And she also helped with the emails.
But you're talking about 1 every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah,
roughly.
where there was a time when I did a post every day on
Right.
Instagram, right? And so I'm not doing that.
And I think that just goes to show the benefits of having a good website and an email list.
Mm,
Because initially you relied on Instagram or other social media platforms to get your work out there, but now you don't need it as much.
exactly. I don't stress about it. And luckily or unluckily, I don't know, I got really overwhelmed with Instagram and social media in general, and it wasn't fun for me anymore. And so it was nice to be able to just say, I'm letting it go. I'm going to focus on these other parts of my business. And then it turned out that those parts were more valuable, more effective tools. Right. So I'm not saying give up on your social media, because I think Instagram, people go on there and they can see within the first 3 rows what my artwork is about, no matter how recent it is.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful portfolio. And then like Carl says, I have a link in my profile for you to sign up for my email list. And then most of my posts, I tell you to sign up for my email list, or direct message me your
Yeah.
email or whatever is going to be the easiest for you. And so that helps
But I
too.
think just framing social media that, like we talked about, it's the hello, it's pushing people to your website and email. I think will
Exactly.
make it less stressful for people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so just to go over, we talked about how searchable is better. So these are the platforms that prioritize search. So there's Google, Pinterest, YouTube, your podcast apps, and AI. Those are the ones that are prioritizing search, not like recent, what would you say? Recent
Social
ability.
media
Yeah,
posts,
it's
yeah.
the opposite of social media. And those are the ones that are really running the web. I did hear recently that Instagram is trying to be more discoverable with, on search engines. And so, with that, if that's true, I would say when you do your hashtags, try to include those same keywords that you know are working to get people to your
Right.
website.
Yeah.
And then,
But we won't know. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. So,
yeah, we won't know, but if you are doing hashtags, I would just say use some of those. And then going back to words. So we've got words on we're saying use more words, but also every image on your website should have a meta tag. So that's just putting those keywords, attaching them to the image
yeah.
and video.
And so when you put your image in your website, you should be able to put in information based on that image. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
click on the image, some tags will come up that you can write some text, some keywords. These words won't be seen by anyone. It just allows Google or the search engine to know what that image is about.
Yeah, exactly. And I was telling Carl that lately, my meta tags, my keywords that I'm putting on the images, I don't worry so much what the image is. I just put those keywords that will help people find me.
Right.
So I don't know. So you really can be using the same
And then
stuff.
when people are searching on Google and then they go to the images tab,
Mm.
then if they're searching those keywords, your images are going to show up as well.
Totally, totally. Yeah, I think for a long time I didn't put my name because I thought, oh, people know that that's mine. But I think if they're searching, you want all those
Right.
images to come up.
Yep.
So that would be a project if you needed to pay, a grandchild or a kid that wants to earn extra money, I would have them go through your whole website and
Yeah.
do the meta tags. I think that would be super helpful.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that would be a big one.
One other thing that I don't think we've talked about yet is backlinks.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. So yeah, you explain that.
So a backlink is just a link that someone can click on that sends them to your website. So if I had a link on my website, which I actually do, that if people want to learn more about Katrina, they can click on it and it goes to her website, and that's called a backlink. And what that's telling Google looks and see how many backlinks you have and says, oh, this company has a lot of backlinks. This website's more important. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to rank it higher. So some of these big, massive companies like, I don't know, like Coca-Cola, they may have millions of backlinks. So other websites are linking to them. As an artist, if you can get a handful each year, 5 or 10 new backlinks every year, and again, over a 5 or 10 year period, that's going to add up and Google's going to rank you higher.
Totally. Yeah. When we were learning about this, tell them, so there, it's Uber Suggest.
Yeah, we used a website called Uber Suggest, and I think it's changed. It may be paid now for a lot of the things, but it would help you discover things like what keywords would be good for your industry, or what keywords are ranking high for your website, um, and how many backlinks you have, what backlinks are more important than others. It ranks it based on the other website, how high that website's ranked. And so, yeah, it's called ubersuggest.com.
And I'll put that in the show notes. But that was super helpful for us to learn which keywords to use.
Yeah, and so you can put your website in there and it'll give you a lot of information. You can put your competitor's website in there and see what keywords they're ranking high for, or what backlinks they have. And so one quick way to get more backlinks is do that with a competitor, find out where they're getting backlinks, and then you can reach out to those companies and be like, hey, can I have my information on your website?
Totally. So for the Utah artists out there, like 15 Bytes, they have a lot of articles. If they've ever done an article about you, make sure you've got a backlink. And then there's like a registry. What's the registry? There's like a registry of Utah artists. Definitely make sure you're on that.
Any directories that are out there, Yellow Pages, and any directory that you can have your website on will be a backlink.
Totally. Something we learned is that universities are very high. They're considered very important. Their domains are very high. They're always going to rank higher. So if you get a backlink on a university, chances are that's going to really help you a ton.
Yeah. So one university or .edu backlink is probably going to be worth 50 smaller, non-relevant backlinks.
Totally.
So quality is more important than quantity for small businesses like artists.
Totally. Yeah. And I would say the easiest way to get backlinks right now for artists is anytime someone mentions you, like let's say they do an interview of you, or they do an article about you, or you're in a show, just make sure they have a backlink to your website. And that would be super important. So for example, I've interviewed quite a few artists, local artists, and I always link to their websites. And so cute. Jessica Michelson asked me the other night, she's like, do you have my website on the show notes? I'm like, yeah, I do. And I said, and I went on her website and I noticed that she didn't have my interview on her website. And I was like, oh man, this is like so easy. So you have a website, and if anyone has ever interviewed you, then you just embed the episode right in your about page or your press page. And that way people can listen and learn about you without ever leaving your website, which is great. Right. And so yeah, Jessica's like, okay, I'm totally going to go embed that. And she was one of my first episodes. And so I don't even think I sent her the embed stuff, but that's something I always do now.
And now that's helping your website be more discoverable, but it's also helping her because you're linking to her.
Yeah. And the more people discover the podcast, I think it helps them with their art business. So I will say this. I did the podcast, the CANDYcolored Studio, because I noticed that artists kept asking me the same questions. And so all the things to build your business, whether it's an art business or any creative business, there's a lot of crossover. And there were things that I was doing that I noticed that other artists were doing that were really helping them. And so I did the podcast so that you guys can just improve your businesses. So I would say if this is the first time on the CANDYcolored Studio, scroll to the bottom of my podcast page and start looking at specific topics. There's topics on email lists. There's topics on how to find your style, or what to take to a market, and how to prepare for certain things. Like there's lots of business suggestions. There's financial advice. Granted, I am not a financial advisor, but there's things I've done with, things to help with your finances. There's all kinds of stuff on there. And then of course there's plenty of other things like what's it like to be a mother artist, so that you know that you're not alone these are challenges that all mother artists are facing, or parents. There's parenting
Yeah.
topics. Anyways, there's lots of stuff. So make sure, if this is your first time on the CANDYcolored Studio, go ahead and subscribe, because this is a service project, meaning like I just want you guys to succeed. And that's why I've recorded these, because remember that word that Carl said earlier, evergreen? These are topics that are totally evergreen. It doesn't matter if you found the episode in 2018 or 2026. They're things that are going to help you.
Yeah, correct. Well, can we talk about blogs and how a
Yes.
blog
Yeah,
would
let's talk about
help you
blogs.
be more searchable?
Yes.
So what do you do for your blogs, and how is that helping you?
Okay, so in the beginning, one of my first websites was literally a blog. And so I would show a new piece, I would describe the piece, maybe I would tell you how much it was or where you could find it if it was in a show. And that's what I put in the blogs. And that's when everyone was reading blogs. I don't know how many people are subscribed to blogs now. Now I use the blog because it's part of my website. And anytime I have an event or a new podcast episode, a new collection, I just put the information in a blog post. And it could be the same thing that's in my Instagram post, right? So you got the same information in your Instagram post, your blog, and your email list if you're doing all three.
And how is that?
How is it beneficial? Okay, so
for the search engines.
Yeah, so first of all, you want to make sure in your blog posts that you are using those keywords. You're putting things that people are going to search. You're putting images and doing the meta tag thing, right? And then every time you do a blog post, you are technically updating your website. And every time you update your website, you're telling the search engines that your website is important.
Yeah. And maybe you guys have heard this phrase before, that cache is king. Well, there's also the phrase that content is king. Mm-hmm. And so the more information you have on your website, the easier it is for Google to rank you higher. So if you think of some of these big, massive companies, their websites are just super big, right? Way bigger than we could ever create as a solopreneur. So just get as much information on the web as you can. Mm-hmm. And sometimes on my website, I have a blog, and I don't even really consider that people are going to read it. The main reason I create my blog is for the content, the keywords, so that Google will rank me higher.
Totally. Yeah, it's interesting because we were walking to our car. We were walking out with, I think his name was Robert, and he does awesome button art.
Cool.
Very cool. Anyways, he's like, I didn't know I was doing my website wrong all these years. We're like, no, you're not doing it wrong.
Yeah.
It's just, that's how everyone was doing it. Everyone was creating an artist website that just looked like a portfolio. We would also say that most landscape architects were doing the same thing. They weren't
a lot of images on
a lot of images. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be discoverable, if you want people to be introduced to your work, you've got to get people to the website. So you got to have more words. And I think that that's a better way. If you really want your website to sell your work, then you got to have more information.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what else? Let's talk about, should we show them your website and we'll show them mine? And let's do this. Okay. So what I can do, maybe I'll do it right here. So,
and while she's doing that, on my website, I've had a bunch of different versions, and I was the same way initially. I just had a bunch of images. I didn't have a lot of text. And so once I started putting text on my website, that's when I really started to see it take off and rank higher on Google.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so here's Carl's website, and just his domain, if you look at it, it's berg LA. So berg-la.com. So berg- and it stands for landscapearchitecture.com. And he did that because landscape architecture is long.
Yeah. Yep. I originally had the Berg Landscape Architects domain, and I still own that, but it was just hard to type out. Sometimes people have a hard time spelling architects. So.
Sure. And even if you know how to spell it, like for me, when we had people share their websites that we looked at, I didn't get one spelled right. Like I just was typing so fast, I couldn't get it correctly. Okay. So on his website, so you'll see that some of the principles that we're going to talk about, it's the same. So again, these are these are going to be good for any creative business. But the first thing you see is a beautiful landscape architecture drawing, a rendering, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we recently just did that. A lot of times we just had finished products. And so, we wanted to showcase kind of what we actually provide.
Yeah. So for those of you that are just listening in podcast land, so he has his logo at the top left. He's got some pages. Now, of course, we're looking at the computer version. The mobile version will be a little different. I will say this though. I frequently look to see who's on my website, and it's always like 60%, 70% like actual computer versus desktop versus the mobile.
Yeah, mine's similar too. I would say for sure more than 50% are desktop, which is a little surprising.
It's surprising.
And maybe that says that maybe the older generation is the ones that are finding us, and as opposed to the younger generation that maybe not have as much money at this point.
Right. And something that we talked about the other night is that when you create your website, you want to create it for your best client or collector. And so both Carl and I, the majority of the people that are purchasing my work and buying his designs tend to be a little bit older. So that does make sense. But I would also say that both the designs and my artwork tend to be a higher priced item. It's not a $20 item or a $40 item. And those are easy to purchase on your phone. But when you're thinking about purchasing something over $1,000, you want to take your time and know you're getting a good deal, or you want to understand the purchase. You want to see the value. And so you might take more time and spend time on a desktop.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed. And maybe that's just our generation, but anytime I want to make an informed decision, I do it on the computer, not my phone.
Me too. Totally.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, I will not trust myself to buy a plane ticket on the cell phone. So it always freezes anyway. It's like something always goes wrong. Yep. Is that Todd?
I don't know. Maybe.
Do you want to peek? We can pause it.
You can keep going.
No, I'll just pause it. It's fine.
It is Todd.
Okay, we're pausing because Todd's here. We love Todd.